3.12, the Chancellor report. So Jannett, Dr. Johnson, excuse me.
Thank you very much, President Delphine Polk, and greetings to the board, students, colleagues, and community members. As part of the Chancellor's report, I would like to start with IVC Smith to give a status of DGS projects that we have, and then followed by the campus presidents to provide a short update. And we'll start with Merritt College. Dr. Johnson, followed by College of Alameda, Dr. Bajrami, then Laney College, Dr. Besikof, and we'll end with Berkeley City College, Dr. Richardson. So, IVC Smith.
Thank you, Chancellor Jackson, and good evening, Board of Trustees. I'd like to reference you to the report that I provided to you in October at the last board meeting, October 10th, just giving you an update of the items that we've completed. I'm looking forward to coming back in November to give you a further update of all the items that we are continuously working on at this time. But tonight, I'd like to focus on the Laney heating, which we talked about and discussed at the September 26th board meeting. And I had made reference and requested that our vendors come back and get the heat going, or we've moved the dates up from Thanksgiving to a November 1st. That was our goal, to try to get that heat going for November 1st. There has been a Herculean task on trying to get those things moved up, even in that time period when we looked at the Thanksgiving, November 25th. I'd like to report that, let me give you a little bit of a background. In 2019, 2020, Gilbane and PBK was hired for a design build to do a new CUP project, the Central Utility Plant for Laney College. It's a design build, and they are installing a new digital and manual system. This will replace the pneumatic and manual system that was installed in 1999. So it is an upgrade. The thing that these two systems have in common is the manual portion of that system. So that means that for a short period of time, it will be controlled manually until we can get the distribution. There are many parts of this system. First, it's the equipment installation. Then it's the distribution, which means that we will go back and make sure that the heat is distributed throughout the buildings. So it is DGS who's working on the distributions throughout the campuses. We've ordered new pumps, new motors to follow behind the completion of the installation of the equipment. We had anticipated that the ductwork for the exhaust for this new system would be delivered today. Unfortunately, there is a delay, and we anticipate that that delivery should happen by the end of this week. So I will still keep you abreast on what's going on. But DGS will continue its work in making sure that the pumps, the motors, and the exhaust to the buildings are working, and that we are working with our vendor who, ESI, who is working on getting the all the wiring and the electrical up and running and ready for November 1st. We're still working for that delivery date, and we will then work with Swinnerton, PBK, in Gilbane to get that completed. So that was just an update for the heating. So again, we are working as quickly as possible to make sure all of those items are coordinated. The installation of the equipment, the distribution to the buildings, the electrical system that it's working, and understand that because it's new system, it's a manual controlled system at this time until we can put a digital controlled system in. So we will be able to control the system, but it will be manually until the new digital controls can be put in at the buildings.
Dr. Jackson, I believe we do have some questions from the trustees.
Okay,
Trustee Gonzalez,
okay.
Thank you for that report. Chancellor, do you know when the system will be fully operational?
I don't, but I assume that IVC Smith has an update on that. And just a reminder, the board wanted a full update. This is just to give you a synopsis as we go along. But a full update will be available in November because we'll have some slides, we'll answer any questions, but this was just a short update. Go ahead.
We're focusing on the heat right now. So again, there's two parts to this central plan. It's the heating and the cooling. So right now our focus is getting the heat going. And as soon as we can get that heat in, we will focus on getting the cooling. So the heat was anticipated on being completed November 25th. We've moved it up to November 1st. Again, our vendors has told us that they've had difficulty getting things expedited. So we're trying to work with them, whatever we can do to help them get things expedited and delivered. So they will be working the first week of November to still get the exhaust put in and the equipment up and running. And we will work together with them. Following that, we will then see how we can update and move up the cooling portion of the CUP project.
So we're waiting for full digital control, but we'll have manual control, which will allow heat to be delivered to the campus buildings by, is it November 1st or the 25th? I was a little confused on that.
We're working on November 1st for manual controls. Now,
Okay.
understand that the DGS will be assessing how we can get the digital part of this functioning as quickly as possible. It will not be November 25th. We will have to control this manually until we can get the digital parts controlling installed.
And is it anticipated that the digital control will be, is that a 6-month project or is that like, now this is 30 days?
You know what, may I get back to you on those dates in November?
Okay. So then on the air conditioning side of it, on the cooling side, obviously that's not a huge issue at the moment. Do you have an estimated delivery for the AC?
At this time, the AC was anticipated being complete May 2024.
Okay. And remind us, what was the start date when we went out for bid on this project again? We started this when?
It started under Lisada in 2019-20. So it was a design build and they have been they started with Taylor Design,
Yeah.
who did the criteria and the scope of work. And it was awarded then to Gilbane PBK as a design build. And we've been working with them to get it installed.
Okay. Chancellor, I think this is I can see the staff's working really hard. I'm really elated to hear that any old day now, we might actually have heat. And it strikes me that this is an example of either a widespread misunderstanding of how long things just take, or alternatively, it's a brilliant case study in how we can improve the delivery of building projects. Because it sounds like now this is coming on 4 years or four and a half years or something like that.
2 years.
2019?
Well, it started, again, it's the criteria started in 2019. It went out to bid. They were awarded in, I believe, 2020. So here we are.
So 4 years.
I think your case study is relevant in both
Yeah.
how long it takes and how difficult it is.
Yeah,
And I'm not criticizing. Let
No,
me be
no,
really
no,
clear.
I-
I'm trying to
yeah,
say,
Yeah.
this is a learning moment.
It-
When we get a lot of people who like, this is impossible, this is crazy, this is so unacceptable. There's a disjuncture in either the communication or the delivery, and we need to fix that so
Yeah.
that people aren't so pissed off.
well, and I believe to IVC Smith's credit, she has attended safety meetings on the campus, council meetings, cabinet meetings, provided the board with updates. But you also can't take it in isolation. You have to look at what was going on. We had a nationwide logistical stall during this period of time where things were not moving. We were lucky in that we ordered early before that hit, and we actually had the broilers sitting in the yard. We then submitted the request, and I'm just refreshing everyone's memory because this is being recorded. We then submitted to move forward with that, and we found that there were almost 20 years of failed completion by this district to submit paperwork to the division of the state architect. We had to clean up 20 years before they would allow us to move forward. So there's a lot of things that have stalled this, not for inaction, things that are beyond our control. And then I came on board in 21 and I made the appointment for IVC Smith at that time. So before that, we had 2 more people who laid hands on this project. And we're at least able to move it forward to bring it to completion within this academic year. So you're right, it could be a case study, but we also have to look at those external variables that we have no control over. And people tend to forget that. All they know is I'm cold, get me some heat.
And all that is in fact part of the case study.
Absolutely. You know of
I think there's probably nobody in this room who thinks that the situation has been acceptable. Like literally no one is satisfied. So we just need to learn better. I'm really appreciative of the report, of the ongoing reports, and elated that hopefully we'll have heat soon. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. So Dr. Johnson, you're next.
All right. Good evening, Chancellor, President Delphine Polk, trustees, colleagues, and community. Just have 2 items. I'm going to keep it quick. First, earlier this month, Ms. Frances Moy, who is our Student Accessibility Services Coordinator, had the opportunity to present at the statewide conference. It's called the California Association for Post-Secondary Education and Disability Conference. And actually it was in partnership with Laney, our sister college, and Nate Failing, who has the same role over there. They spoke about a new partnership between several entities, the Clausen House, I don't know if you're familiar with that, in Oakland. Oakland Unified's district, their young adult program, and the respective student accessibility services programs between Merritt and Laney. And this alliance, this partnership was made possible by another grant that we got, the federal grant, the Adult Transition Partnership Project Grant. And we plan to utilize those funds to develop programs for adults with intellectual disabilities transitioning from high school to college. And specifically together, Merritt and Laney are going to be working together to offer employment-related learning resource classes and certificates in art, music, and culinary arts. But what's most compelling about this initiative is that it really goes beyond just the traditional emphasis on learning hard skills that employers want. It focuses on the soft skills that are also very critical, as well as helping to inculcate essential life skills that individuals with intellectual disabilities will need to thrive. The second thing, Jim Cates kind of stole my thunder. So just we had the opportunity last Thursday to attend an event, the Chancellor, myself, some faculty, and some administrators related to CISE. And this has been an ongoing partnership. As he said, a labor of love. We appreciate him. I appreciated him even before that $80,000 check, but I'll take it. But we also had an event this past Friday, the Cybersecurity Employer Day event. And it's one of our signature job fairs, and it really provides the opportunity for our recent graduates to connect with top rated cybersecurity firms or firms and institutions that need that expertise. So, and I mentioned before, Ronnie Lott gave a presentation. So we appreciate that as well. So in general, I just want to take this time publicly to say thank you to Jim Case. Thank you to his partner in crime who's not here, Mark Egan. We appreciate you, and we couldn't do it without you. So thank you.
Good evening, President Delphine Polk, VP Quinlan, trustee members, Chancellor Jackson, fellow presidents, and PCCD colleagues, and members of the community. I'll keep it short. I'd like to focus on the mid-semester flex day at COA that took place on October 18th, and highlight one of the reports that is in the printed report that you have. The mid-semester flex day was amazing, and Professor Drew Burgess, who is the professional development chair and our art professor, has a special theme for us every flex day. This flex day, the theme was imagination. The day started with John Lennon's song, Imagine, with a renewed call for unity as the path to peace, and with Professor Danny Nguyen dancing, and invited all the COA members to join him to dance, and the people who could not dance join singing together. For the rest of the day, faculty, classified professional, administrators, and students work together, imagining a better and stronger COA family, focusing on workshops on identity talk, articulation, curriculum, zero textbooks, cybersecurity, SLO training, and we ended the day with yoga and body conditioning. The second item is to celebrate the implementation of for the COA Learning Aligned Employment Program, LAPE. COA is one of 2 colleges in the state of California to partner with the Foundation for California Community Colleges and implement this great internship program. We're delighted to announce the successful placement of our very first student intern, Ms. Reina Ware, who has embarked on a rewarding 10 weeks paid off-campus internship with Alameda Chamber of Commerce. Learning Aligned Employment Program enabled us to connect our students with paid off-campus internship and connect us with local community. As a matter of fact, today we had the opportunity to meet with Saildron, who is also looking at future internships. And this concludes my report. Thank you.
Good evening, Chancellor Jackson, Board President Delphine Polk, members of the governing board, colleagues in education, and of course, our valued community members and students. Just a very quick enrollment update for you this evening. We maintain our 8% year-to-date improvement over last fall, which is great. But behind the percentages, I just want to share that this increase at Laney College has meant 750 more students served this semester than a year ago. And if we want to talk about enrollment, which is the seats, the total seats that have been filled, 1,574 more seats. And I think that's, you always take positive numbers as good news. And we certainly do. And it's thanks to the work of so many. Also looking at evolving and kind of redefining ourselves, our basic needs center at Laney College. If you have an opportunity, please come and visit Katrina Santos up on the 3rd floor of the Student Center. As we move through this opening of the Basic Needs Center under her leadership, one of the things that we find ourselves doing is kind of saying what is basic needs and defining it in a great way. And in your board report this evening, you actually have a short write-up about 78 students who receive clothing as a result of the closet that we have through our Basic Needs Center. But as we move into looking at Vision 2030 at the State Chancellor's Office and our engagement of county services and social services to engage with our community colleges to better support our students, I think a lot of what we've seen with addressing basic needs such as clothing or childcare or other things that kind of are emerging more as we define it, I do think the conversation is going to be an evolving one as we move forward and try to serve our communities. Speaking of our communities, this coming Friday, Laney College looks forward to welcoming leadership from the Vietnamese Chamber of Commerce for the first times during my years at Laney as guests to our campus. for a tour and a light lunch on campus, just to discuss our ongoing collaboration. Certainly, it was the least I could do after being welcomed to their last chamber mixer that they had. And it was a great opportunity to engage our community. And I really think throughout Peralta, starting with the multicultural chamber chairs of commerce that we have in Oakland and extending to the chambers of commerce in both Berkeley and Alameda, I think there are excellent opportunities out there to continue collaboration. This concludes my report.
Good evening, Chancellor Jackson, Board President Deanna Delphine-Polk, trustees, colleagues, students, and members of the community. On October 18th, we had a very successful Flex Day at Berkeley City College with presentation updates from our Senate and union representatives, as well as our administrative units. We also had an icebreaker that called upon us to identify whether we had achieved goals that we had established for ourselves at the previous Flex Day. And we had to grade ourselves. One of my goals was to go around and meet everyone in the college. I was largely successful the first time I went without anything. Second time I went around with cutie oranges. Third time I went around with chocolates. So what I learned was that people were a lot happier to see me when I brought chocolates. So I had to grade myself a B for taking that long to come with the candy. The highlight of the day was getting to break bread together and engaging in stimulating discussions around how we can best support our students. Some of the workshops were titled, "Crying is Not Always a Crisis, Where to Direct Students in Need," "How ILO Can You Go?" "Reimagining Institutional Learning Outcomes," "Are You Financially Healthy?" "Culturally Responsive Pedagogies and Practices," and one of my favorite topics because it has become so integral to what we're doing in education right now, "Possibility in Peril, AI in the Classroom." During this discussion, we were encouraged to learn innovative ways to adapt instruction to AI, as we did with calculators and computers, which were introduced to the educational environment. Seeing AI as a tool and recognizing that there is no true substitute for human creativity and intelligence. On this coming Thursday, we will record our first podcast titled BCC Spotlight. For our first broadcast, we will provide information about what it means to be an HSI institution and hear from campus leaders who manage our HSI grants. We will also highlight the individuals who organize the exciting events of Hispanic Heritage Month and Undocumented Student Action Week. One of the speakers during the week was Carlos Eduardo Espina. With over 6 million TikTok followers, Carlos has amassed the power of social media to champion positive change and raise awareness about immigration issues. At the age of 24, he has already started 2 nonprofits in his home state of Texas. One of his major accomplishments was starting a soccer camp that was featured on the local news for serving hundreds of children who would not have otherwise had the opportunity. He got this idea when he saw businessmen offering a soccer camp for $400 to $500 for 3 sessions. And so he decided to take it upon himself to make this available for free for children within his own community. Because he was so compelling, I asked Carlos, I said, have you considered a career in public service? And his response was rather sobering. He says, well, you know, I've gotten a lot of death threats for the things that I'm doing, so I'm not really sure I want to go. I thought that was a very sad commentary in terms of where we are as a country. Last Friday morning, I had the privilege of meeting with the associate students of Berkeley City College, whose president is Christian Klichev and whose campus administrator is Associate Dean John Mullion. Both, by the way, are doing an amazing job. I wanted to find out from the students how the college administration could best support them. So we spent an hour together, and I could not have been more inspired with their priorities. They want to collaborate on ways to shift the perception of community college from a stepping stone to a destination campus of higher learning. They want to create a greater sense of belonging for students, and they want to collaborate with the city of Berkeley to host events and much more. They truly gave me hope for our future as they are on their way to being the kind of thoughtful, social justice focused leaders that we need so desperately at this time. Just today, we learned that the Campaign for College Opportunity has named Berkeley City College a 2023 champion and 2023 equity champion of higher education. BCC is being recognized. Thank you. recognized for exemplary work in implementing the Associate Degree for Transfer, ADT, and for being a top performer in the following categories. Champion of Higher Education, Associate Degrees for Transfer awarded as a percentage of all associate degrees awarded, reflecting the percentage of total associate degrees awarded that were associate degrees for transfer in the 2021-2022 academic year. And as an equity champion for Black students, supporting at least 65% of Black associate degree earners on our campus to earn an ADT, as well as supporting these students to perform as well or better in this metric compared to the student body. Berkeley City College will be recognized at the virtual event, the 2023 Champions of Higher Education Celebration, on Tuesday, November 14th, 2023. We are extremely honored to receive this recognition and look forward to continuing to close equity gaps wherever they exist. This concludes my report for Berkeley City College.
Thank you very much, Presidents. I do have a comment, and I don't do this because we don't comment about information or items that are presented during the public forums, that I feel that there's a need for us to get this out to the disabled community. We hear what you're saying. We investigate thoroughly any complaints that we get, and in the case that was presented, it has been investigated, and we have made adjustments based upon that. So I would strongly urge the SAS office at each of the campuses, if there are issues regarding some of our disabled students, to please coordinate with the campuses, so that if it's something that needs to be addressed on a structural level, that goes to IVC Smith and the DGS office. If it's something just in terms of signage or custodial, that resides with the campuses. So just want to make that clear. I do want to end the report with something that we sent out, and it was entitled "A Call for Peace and Respect." It's located on our webpage. It was part of our GEMS newsletter, and we received several positive responses to the announcement, but one of the more touching emails that we received in response to the statement regarding the conflict in Gaza was from an employee who stated what I feel sums up many of the reactions from colleagues throughout the district, and I'm going to read it to you. It says, "Please give an anonymous thank you to the presidents and chancellor for their kind, balanced, and supportive statement of inclusivity. I was beginning to feel unable to speak, and the conversation felt potentially unsafe for the first time among my beloved colleagues and community. This much needed statement provided many of us with a sense of belonging again." I want to thank those presidents, all of us who signed off on it. I want to thank the board for their support, and again, voice our concern about what's going on in Gaza and the innocent lives that are being taken. And you can also check our webpage if you'd like to see the full document. It is available on the splash page. So I conclude with the hope that we can come together internationally, and that this conflict can be resolved shortly. That is my fervent hope. Thank you.
Trustee Gonzalez, you have a comment?
Thank you so much, Chancellor, for that. And I couldn't help but notice that for some reason I didn't get the original announcement. I'm wondering whether our board colleagues were getting those announcements. I think there's something wrong with the distribution system where trustees are not getting district-wide announcements and email and things like that. It would be really helpful for us to just keep up on basic stuff like that, district announcements, et cetera. And thank you again.
Yes, it's always great to hear the good things coming from our colleges. I just wanted to pose a question maybe for our next board meeting. It looks more and more like the possibility of a federal shutdown is going to come. And I'm wondering how it's going to impact our colleges. Maybe we can get some information at our next board meeting and things we can do to mitigate the possibilities of impact on our students.
Anyone else? Okay, Chancellor, I think we have no more questions or comments. Thank you. At this time, we will move to 4.1, our presentation on compensation.